Ordinary people living walking distance from the front lines of the war in Ukraine are the latest victims of a Russian airstrike. This is what we know. Ukraine's president sharing that distressing news along with video from the scene that shows the aftermath, and we have blurred that footage, but we have to warn you, it is disturbing. The aerial bomb hit a rural village in Ukraine's Donetsk region. Many of the victims do appear to be elderly. Officials say more than 20 civilians were killed, and Volodymyr Zelensky is appealing yet again for the world to respond. Well, CNN's Claire Sebastian has reported extensively from the region. She joins us now from London. And Claire, President Zelensky describing this as a brutally savage attack on ordinary people. What happened?
Yeah, brutally savage was the word that he used in that post, Becky. And this really seems to have hit at the heart of Ukraine's attempts to keep up normal life in these rural areas very close to the front line. This town village, perhaps best described as, is some 8 kilometers from the front lines. And interestingly, it has been occupied in this war by Russia, but was retaken by Ukraine in one of its successful counteroffensives in 2022. So in that sense, I think emblematic of this long dragged out war, a town once occupied, now coming under the bombs once again. But what seems to have happened, according to Zelensky and other officials, is that people were lining up to get their pensions. If we show you this video again and again, a warning that it is extremely disturbing, and we have blurred out some of it. You can see that as the CEO of Ukroposhta, which is the Ukrainian postal service, that they basically use a mobile unit to administer pensions and other things in this area. And the CEO said that they've adjusted security procedures, and that you can see the car there just under the trees, that was part of an effort to avoid being spotted. So now they're going to have to adjust security procedures again. But look, this is something that we saw much more in the first year of this war, these very deadly attacks on civilian areas, specifically very close to the front lines as Russia made significant gains on the Eastern Front. I think the concern now will be that this is another moment of peril for those regions as Russia pushes forward, tries to exploit this window of opportunity, not only the last few weeks of good weather for its summer offensive, but of course the window of opportunity provided by this now stalled US-led diplomatic process and the lack of consequences so far for Russia. Becky.
Well, Zelensky again calling for more global action. Efforts to end this war have, of course, so far failed. So what's on the table? What more can be done? And what hope of any solution anytime soon?
So I think that the hope now, and certainly it was the hope before this attack, but especially I think now, given these disturbing scenes that were coming out of that village, is that this may accelerate Trump's thinking towards getting tough on Russia. Of course, we've seen multiple sanctions deadlines crumble along the way, including one last week. But he did say earlier this week that he was ready to move to phase 2, which we assume means more secondary sanctions on India, perhaps also on China as punishment for buying Russian oil. And he does seem to be tentatively moving towards that. So I think there's some hope behind that. There's also a meeting today of Ukraine's allies on air defense, a group that coordinates arms supplies to Ukraine. So I think arming Ukraine and getting tough on Russia, those are the 2 key areas where Ukraine will be looking for movement.